Thank you.
This doesn't hit on the iPod, does it?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Village Board of Trustees meeting. It is April 1st, 2013. This evening, we're very pleased to have some scouts. We're very proud of our scouting program in the Village of Arlington Heights. And this evening, we have Kevin Revenak and his brother Quinn, Simon Schlatter, Spencer Sadler, Connor Sharp, Nicholas DeGrauline, and Kevin Chadwick, I think. I'll have to practice on that. They're accompanied by their leaders, Mike Revenak and David Schlatter. Gentlemen, you may begin.
May the audience please rise. Color guard attention. Color guard forward march. Color guard halt. Color guard post the colors. May you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Color guard dismissed.
The audience may be seated. Just think if you had to carry something that was 3 times your height. That's a pretty good task this evening. As I said, our scouting program for boys and girls are very healthy in our community, and we really appreciate them getting our meeting off. With that, I would ask if our clerk would please call the roll.
Trustee Scaletta?
Yes.
Trustee Sidor?
Here.
Trustee Blackwood? Here. Trustee Breyer?
Here.
Trustee Farwell?
Here.
Trustee Glasgow?
Here.
Trustee Hayes?
Here.
Trustee Rosenberg?
Here.
President Mulder?
Here. We have a quorum, so we move to item 4, approval of minutes. We have 2 sets for us this evening. First, the minutes of March 11th, 2013, a committee of the whole. Any comments, corrections, deletions, or additions?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Farwell, seconded by Trustee Rosenberg. Everybody was here. Next, we have our set of minutes of Board of Trustees.
Point of
meeting.
order, we need to vote.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. There's a lot of excitement to go on today. Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting on March 18th, 2013. Again, comments, corrections, deletions, or additions?
Move approval.
Second.
That was a chorus motion by Trustee Rosenberg, seconded by Trustee Sidor. Any comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We now move to item 5, our accounts payable. And I'd call on Trustee Hayes.
Thank you, Madam President. I would move approval of the payables dated March 30th, 2013 in the amount of $793,341.47.
Second.
A motion by Trustee Hayes, seconded by Trustee Farwell. Were there any questions or comments on the budget presented for that month, or the accounts payables, not budget? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Farwell?
Yes.
Trustee Rosenberg?
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta?
Yes.
Trustee Sidor?
Yes.
Trustee Blackwood?
Yes.
Trustee Breyer?
Yes.
Trustee Glasgow?
Yes.
President Mulder?
Yes. We now come to item 6, recognitions and presentations. First, this evening, I'm very, very pleased to provide recognition to a relatively new program. The Escorted Transportation Service in Northwest area. This evening, I'm very, very proud to acknowledge their milestone in providing 15,000 round-trip rides. And I would like to read this into the record. Ladies, please introduce yourself and give us a little snippet about what you feel has made a difference in our community.
Well, I'm Kathy Kasperwitz, and first of all, I just
Try that other one in the middle.
This one?
Yeah.
Is this one better?
Better.
I'm Kathy Kasperwitz, and I just want to say how pleased we are to be recognized and how honored we are to be here this evening. So thank you for inviting us. And I'd also like to thank the many volunteer drivers who actually participated in getting those 15,000 rides accomplished. We're very proud of them and all the work that we've all accomplished in our community. As you know, we are the Village of Good Neighbors, and we hope to live that to the limit. I'm going to introduce you to Linda Leahy, our current Executive Director, who will tell you a little bit more about us. Linda?
Thanks, Kathy. I'm Linda Easterwood Leahy, and I couldn't be happier. This is twice in less than a year that I've gotten to stand here talking about Escorted Transportation Service Northwest. Thank you for all of your support, and specifically tonight, I would like to not only thank the mayor and wish her good wishes on her future. You're not the only person that's retiring this year. Our trustee founder and director of program and operations, Kathy Kasperwitz, will be retiring this year. And without Kathy, she's very quick to say that it's thanks to all the volunteers, and true. We wouldn't have a program without our volunteers, but if it wasn't for the hard work and dedication, passion, and just driven excellence in seeing it go from her kitchen table to 15,000 round-trip rides since 2006, we wouldn't be here tonight. So I just want to take a moment to honor Kathy for everything that she's done and to thank you for your support. And as Karen Hansen from the Senior Center pointed out, by the year 2056, if we keep going at this rate, we'll reach our 1 millionth ride. So we got a lot of ground to cover. But we just wanted to say thank you very much for your support. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I would like to read into the record the proclamation that this village board wishes to extend to you and your organization, and maybe you find a place on the wall to put it. Whereas on March 4th, 2013, at 10 a.m., Escorted Transportation Service Northwest provided its 15,000 round-trip ride. And whereas ETS Northwest opened its doors on September 1st, 2006, and has since that time successfully assisted hundreds of our community seniors with a smile. Whereas ETS and Northwest provides rides for seniors to their life-sustaining medical and dental appointments within specified boundaries in the northwest suburbs of Cook County. Trained and insured volunteer drivers use their own cars to transport passengers, wait for them on site, and return home with them again. Drivers are willing to stop at the pharmacy on the way home to drop off, collect, and provide that prescription that the doctor ordered. The children of these seniors are grateful for this service, as it prevents wages that would be lost if they had to take time off from work to escort their parents to each doctor and dental appointment. Not only is that, but the personal attachment of having somebody with them when they might be a little bit nervous about seeing that physician. Now, therefore, I, Arlene J. Mulder, Mayor of the Village of Arlington Heights, along with the Village Board of Trustees, do hereby officially recognize Escorted Transportation Service Northwest on their milestone 15,000 round-trip rides and for their valuable service to our community. And this is indicating all of our trustees, and I would like to ask you to come forward, and I want to extend my congratulations on a great idea, creating the program, seeing it get off the ground, reach this milestone, and you deserve the chance to take a break.
Thank you.
So if you would...
I think I'm just going to become a driver.
Well, hopefully you've been driving now yourself around. if you'd come forward, I'd like to officially present this, and then again ask our audience to congratulate this great milestone. Maybe we'll leave those right there, so if anybody was interested in volunteering, they can come get one. Item B on our agenda under recognitions. There's a lot of basketball going on as this Final Four, and people have been watching it throughout the week. But we had some pretty phenomenal basketball going on right here in our own community. Tonight, we're very pleased as a Board of Trustees, knowing that we have many students that are residents of Arlington Heights that attend Rolling Meadows High School. We're very proud tonight to honor the Rolling Meadows girls basketball team. They have recently placed second in the Class 4A high school basketball competition. And if you don't know what that is, it's tough competition. They had an incredible, amazing, and every other accolade that you could say or think of season, and an amazing finish. The Mustangs came within 1 point of having that championship, and I'm sure what's on their mind is they're all going to practice all summer long and be ready for next year's season. Well, it was a heartbreaking moment for the team as that last-minute Hail Mary shot went in to take what was a lead to a second-place finish. It was still an impressive effort and a significant accomplishment for these young ladies. The state competition reflects not only the best of the state, but the fighting spirit that the Mustangs had, tenacity, competitiveness, the dedication to each other, and the knowledge that every day they can get better. Throughout the season, each of you have contributed a once-in-a-lifetime memory. You'll never forget this season, but you will concentrate on what you will accomplish next year. You earned this after an impressive season of 30 wins and only 4 losses, which sets a school record. Are we impressed with your second-place finish? Yes, we are. We're also very proud. The Village Board is pleased to learn of the team members and not only their supreme athletic capabilities, but you should know that these girls aren't just athletically inclined, they're scholastically inclined and have some pretty impressive grade point averages. We're proud that they are well-rounded citizens of our community and also of Rolling Meadows. We want to commend you this evening for this accomplishment. Each of you really have inspired all of us, reminding us that even though we may age, there's always more that we can accomplish, and we continue to dream and drive and have that ambition to get better. As part of honoring the team this evening, we'd like to show you a short video of a little montage, as they call it, of the team's success. After that video, I will ask the coach and Trustee Glasgow, who happens to know someone on that team, to join me down in front as we present the awards to our Rolling Meadows Mustang team. Is that okay with you, Trustee Glasgow?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Let's roll that film. Well, I think we need to see these players, if I can get myself turned on here. I am, okay. Trustee Glasgow, would you like to join me? We're going to start with the coaches, I believe. Ryan Kurskowski, is that somewhat close?
Close, yeah.
Close. Now, I know what a head coach has to go through. Have you been sleeping now at night?
As long as I stop watching the tape.
Okay. Congratulations. Let's hear it for the coach. I simply want to say that I'm speaking from a tiny little bit of experience because girls basketball has grown immensely. I've been here as the mayor for 20 years, but way, way before that, I was the head basketball coach at Niles West High School. And it's amazing how far girl athletes have come. And it's their accomplishments, their athleticism, but it's their spirit and the camaraderie. There's so much more to sport than just the physical. So, and I think that all comes from coaches. We have Nichols, if you'd come up forward. Nick. Congratulations, Nick. Thank you, and thank you for your support. And Katie Hemslick?
She's
Katie,
not here.
she's not here. Courtney Wyman?
She's not here.
Oh, the girls stayed home,
Yeah.
huh? Courtney, and how about Tim Lizardo?
These two are not here. The only other one here is Anthony Jagiello.
Okay. I don't know what that all is.
Anthony Jagiello.
There's Anthony, okay. He's not here. And managers, we have Matt Kudla.
No managers.
No managers. Okay, I won't have to worry about it. I think we should say their names. Jessica Lang.
Correct.
Eva Lopez.
Yep.
And Cal Swarsky.
Yep.
How about that for names?
We'll start with
Girls,
Alexis
use the
Glasgow.
microphone. You got to come over here and shake our hands. And you have to shake the trustee's hand, too. Can you say, hi, Dad? Hi. Can you give him a hug? Come on. Hug me. It's all in the family here, right? You better take your...
Folks, that what I can.
Okay. There we go. She looks like she's been somewhere warm. Okay, the next one.
Next, we have Sammy K.
You and I are getting too close together here. Hi, Sammy.
Next, we have Morgan Keller.
Congratulations, Marcus. Yeah. Did they bring it?
They brought the trophy.
Next, we have Jackie Kempf.
The strongest girl. You're just working for the scholarship over at ISU for track, right?
I'd hate to see what the big one really looked like. That's second place. Okay. Coach?
We're missing Allie Kemp. She's at a soccer game tonight.
Oh, okay.
Next, we have Megan King.
Gotta come over here. Congratulations.
Next, we have Hannah Mickey.
Gotta smile. This is fun. It's not working. Congratulations.
Next, we have Ashley Montanez. Another one of our absent players is Chloe Pradanovic. Next is Nora Rashi.
Trying to find a spot.
Stand in the middle. Next, we have Katie Schumann. Next, we have Elizabeth Vasilagambros. And our final player is Jenny Vliet.
Congratulations. Coach, any reflections on the season?
First off, I would like to thank the mayor and all the trustees for inviting us to this recognition. One of the things you realize, you know, was as a coach and as a team, it was really a dream, everything that happened. I want to give you a special thanks. I had to do a little research about your basketball career, and I know the mayor was one of the trailblazers, not only in girls basketball, but in girls sports and in Title IX, and giving these opportunities to the young women that are standing before us. So I wanted to thank you for that. And you know, when you get downstate and you're playing in those games and you realize that you have the support of an entire community, it makes it that much easier to keep taking those steps and keep winning games. So we want to thank everybody for their support for getting us to the point we got to this year. So thank you.
Who's captain? Who's going to make comments for the girls?
Well, we would like to present you with a T-shirt. From our state run. It's upside down.
All right. I don't have to do any suicides or anything, right? Oh, you guys have to know basketball. That's the drill. It's ones that coaches really like. Yeah. Who's next? Come on.
The senior.
Ah.
Oh, the senior. You want to say something, Jenny, you didn't say anything.
Okay. Well, we just want to say, the whole team, thank you so much for everything this community has done for us, and everyone's support means more than you guys could ever know. So hopefully you're all back to support us next year.
Yes. Are there any seniors? The only one that could carry the trophy, I tell you. Well, let's see. You don't want to fail a year and spend 5 years in school, but know that you had a tremendous contribution this year, and it looks like they have a good shot at next year. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're all going to camp all summer long? Okay. Like 6:30 a.m. I can tell you that, thank you for the nice comments. Being part of a team, team sport, is completely different than an individual sport. I coached tennis as well, and we had singles, but it still was a team, the total of all the matches. It was never any one individual. And there has a lot to do with your good days and your bad days. The lessons learned by being part of an athletic team is an immeasurable experience. These young girls will reflect 10, 20, 30 years from now and say, oh, I can remember when I was playing basketball that happened. And it'll relate to some adult experience that you are having in your job or in your family, because you are a family. It's amazing. And not every young person gets the opportunity to do a team sport or an individual sport. And so feel lucky, and make sure you thank your parents, your teachers, and your coaches, because without their support, you wouldn't be able to do this. And School District 214 for having an athletic program. Very, very proud. We're proud of all of our residents. Our young people are very special because that tells us a lot about our future, and it's going to be a successful one. So let's congratulate them one last time. Free to go home and do your homework now. Okay. While they sit down, Trustee Glasgow, comments as a parent.
Tony, come here. All these girls, not only are they fantastic girls.
Tom, get the mic.
Tom, mic.
Grab the mic. The mic.
But somebody who does not get recognized enough, and not only do you have support of the team, but Tony is one of those people that really gave from himself during the entire time that this season was going on. Girls know him as Jigs, but Tony, of his own money, his own time, his own effort, went all over the state to film. Some of the stuff that you saw up there today was some of the stuff that he did, and he really does embody the citizens of Arlington Heights, that we're a city of good neighbors. Tony did this on his own. He didn't ask for any payment. He volunteered, just like many of the people who are sitting in the crowd that I see tonight. But I don't think Tony really got the chance to be recognized at all during the course of the year for the contributions that he made. The film that you watched all night long and stayed up till 2 and sometimes 3 in the morning watching was because of this guy right here. And it's because he really backed the girls. He believed in them. He watched them last year. We all believed in them when we all showed up, and we all supported them. And guys, thank you. Thank the girls for giving us hope. Thank the girls for giving us something to look forward to. And Tony, thank you. I appreciate everything. And Coach, thank you for being such a good leader.
We have one more trustee who's got a real connection with Rolling Meadows High School. I have to stick in there. My 3 kids graduated from Rolling Meadows High School, and they all did very, very well through their 4 years of college. It was a little bit because we told them that's all we would pay for, but they all graduated by then. I call on Trustee Sidor.
Thank you, Mayor Mulder. I just want to thank these girls. It was, as a member of the class of 1975, it's on the record now, it was just exciting to watch you girls play. It was a true pleasure and an honor and a privilege, and the tenacity and the level of commitment that you played in it was just amazing. I do have to say 2 things. Next year when you win, we need 9 t-shirts, not just 1, whoever the mayor is. The second thing is I've got some pieces of the old Rolling Meadows gym floor in my garage still that I'd gladly trade for a sweatshirt if you're willing. Thank you for a great season. I'm looking forward to a championship next year. Thank you, Mayor.
I want to thank you, and I know that you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, but you've got homework to do. So if you choose to leave, just do so quietly, and we're going to proceed with our agenda. Again, though, let's just thank these people as they depart. These young ladies have really accomplished a lot with their commitment. We now move to item 7, public hearings. I need a motion to convene a public hearing on our fiscal year 2014 village budget.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Trustee Hayes, seconded by Trustee Scaletta, to convene. Mr. Siegel, do I need a roll call?
No.
No. Voice vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Public hearing is now open. We did have, are there individuals who wish to make comments relative to the budget? This would be the time to do so on the public hearing. Is that for the public?
No.
No, okay. I see no hands or indications. I do have two cards. Mr. Walter and Joanne Eggleston, did you want to, no, excuse me, Tim O'Neill, did you want to make reference to parts of the budget? Citizens to be heard, okay. Mr. Dixon.
Well, briefly, on the budget itself, thank you, Mayor. The village operates under the Illinois budget law. That law requires the board to hold a public hearing on the proposed budget. Notice the hearing for this evening was published on March 18. Our fiscal year begins on May 1. I'd like to just talk for a moment about the process, the board involvement that led to this evening. Work on the budget involved a number of public meetings, beginning with review by the village board of the proposed capital improvement program back in October of 2012. There followed in November board review of 3-year budget projections and the setting of ceilings for the general fund and water and sewer fund. In December, the annual tax levy ordinance was approved. The village's share of the property tax bill is approximately 11.5%. The increase in the combined village and library share of the property tax bill was 1.2%. In late February, the proposed budget was sent to the village board. The proposed budget represents a 1.4% increase from the current fiscal year. In March, the board held 4 public budget review sessions, and as a result of those sessions, the proposed budget up for consideration this evening for the fiscal year beginning May 1 totals $145,374,818.
Any comments by any trustees? Seeing none, again, anyone in the audience wish to make any comments regarding the budget or have any questions? I would just say that the board members were very involved. We had those 4 meetings, went through department by department, got questions and answers. Thank our finance director, Tom Keeney, for his staff's work as well as his guidance through this whole process. It takes several months to work on this and obviously evaluate the past and existing year in planning our future year. If there are no other comments, I think that completes the public hearing. I entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Hayes, seconded by Trustee Sidor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We now move to citizens to be heard. First person, I don't know if I have these in correct order, but we'll all have our turn. We ask that comments be contained within 3 minutes. We have a little clock up there to help you. It starts at 3 and works down to 000. Because there's a number of them, I will do my little baseball thing and indicate the name of the second speaker so they can be ready to come up to the microphone when the first one is concluded. First, Paul Zerlo. If you could, for the record, begin with your name and address, please.
Thank you.
My name is Paul Zerlo, 1327 North Hickory Avenue, resident of Arlington Heights since 2005. And I've been in the real estate business for the past 20 years on the commercial real estate side. And I've actually been involved with the developer back in the day and been involved with community meetings such as this in regard to development and all the activity that goes on in regard to that. So I'm speaking on behalf of the Orchard Evangelical Church's proposal to build a parking lot on the Haddow properties, which I have provided you with a memo. I don't know if you have this, but this first page looks like this. There it is. So while she's passing that out to you, I'm just going to take a moment to recognize the fellow members of the Hickory Meadows Community Group. Let's call them Community Team. Hickory Meadows Community Team, in the spirit of team, from earlier today. And if they can just stand real quick so we can show the support to the trustees and to the mayor that we are also a unified group. And I just want to tell you, we have a lot of passion for our homes and for our neighborhood, which is all the concept behind, I think someone said earlier today, the city of good neighbors. And these guys truly are good neighbors. So, do you all have the handout?
Yes.
Okay. So, I'm here, like I said, with the group, with the team, to ask as for you trustees and the mayor to vote no to the upcoming Orchard E-Free Church's nonsensical parking lot proposal to demolish 8 existing homes on Haddow in a desirable neighborhood with over 100 impeccable mature trees, irreplaceable mature trees, ideally situated in a sought-after cul-de-sac that is within 1 block of 2 award-winning schools, Olive and Thomas. I have presented to you a memo that demonstrates the photos of what the neighborhood looks like. I've given it a couple of views, and I'd like to go through the facts, because I know from a decision standpoint that as a committee, as a board of trustees, you need to look at all the facts. And if you could go to the second page.
Unfortunately, the 3 minutes have already lapsed. I don't know if I can reset and give another 3 minutes because you introduced everybody in the project. But there's some other speakers. I don't know if you can divide up.
I will run through this very quickly, and you have the memo.
2 minutes?
I'll take 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. So, like I said, I'd like to present the facts to you because that's really, from the standpoint of decision-making, we understand that that's what you have to look at, the facts, be objective, the pros and cons. I mean, that's all in your philosophies, and so I will go through those within the next 2 minutes. First fact, the neighborhood character will be destroyed, and in addition to that, the highest and best use of that land is not a parking lot. It is those homes. And I have given you a description of I provided a description of the photos of the 2 views from the north side and the south view of Haddow, which gives you a demonstration of the trees and the picturesque views on that block. And I've also given you a picture of what a potential future vision would look like with a parking lot, which I've used the orchards, the church's parking lot, and you can see it's a pretty stunning difference between what's there now and what is being proposed. I've also would like to go on to fact number 2. There's absolutely no benefit to the residents with this. I have underlined, as you can see, that the residents, this group here, this team here, has no problem with the street parking lot situation that we have right now. We have agreed to that arrangement and we're pleased with it. Fact number 3, parking lots reduce school district revenue. You wipe out the taxes that those houses are paying. Majority of those taxes go to school district, equates to about $35,000, which is over half of what an annual teacher's salary is. Fact number 4, the economic loss is these households are providing an economic engine to this community. I mean, that is a known fact. We all spend significant dollars, approximately about $1,500 a month in the community. If you take that by 8 households, go out for a year, that's $150,000. $150,000 is more than just dollars. That is 3 average jobs. So, like I said, with fact number 3 and fact number 4, we're looking at real people losing jobs over losing this these economic households that are economic engines that provide for the economy. And in addition to that, I mean, it's the same concept as the metropolis. You bring business in, you bring people in, they support the business, and that's what we're asking for that concept to be used with these homes. These homes are supporting businesses, and we ask that they don't get demolished. Number 5, there's obvious devaluation of homes. Number 6 has to do with the sewer system, which we may hear later tonight. And number 7, I just want to turn your attention to some of the exhibits that shows that the parking lot of the church is poorly maintained. They do not have a very good preventive maintenance system. So I have summarized my presentation as follows. There's no benefits at all to the residents. It only conveniences the church's non-resident members. The neighborhood character is destroyed, and I've presented that visually on the second page. School district revenue is lost. Local revenue is lost. I mean, the remaining 5 homes will become devalued. We've got a sewer system issue that's just going to be even more of a problem with this, with the impervious substance that's going to be presented. And I mentioned the exhibit of the poor maintenance of the church's lot. So thank you very much for extending my time.
Thank you, Mr. Zullo, and thank you for the printed out information. Pat Dennehy. And after Pat will be Adam Eichhorn. Welcome, Pat.
Thanks. Pat Dennehy, 1411 North Hickory. We've been there in the house for 40 years, and it's 2 blocks from the church. Several people that I've talked to recently feel that the parking lot is a done deal because of the following reasons. 1, the church has refused to meet with the neighbors to discuss their plans, although on their website they state that one of the key priorities is to develop a project that neighbors will mutually benefit from in the future. 2, although the congregation was aware that plans were in the works, they were notified of those plans only after the article of the May 18th trustee meeting appeared in the Herald. Architects' drawings were put on display in the church's lobby on March 23rd. 3, 8 families have been told to be out of their homes even before school ends. 4, a landscaping company has estimated what it would cost to tear down the trees. And 5, Julie has been contacted, and the locations of the utilities are marked with paint and flags. And we're wondering, how can all this take place before plans have even been presented to the building committee or the trustees? At the 10:30 Easter service, 188 cars were parked on the streets around the church. Of those, only 68 were parked in front of homes, including ours. The rest were adjacent to basins, schools, a field, and a playground. We have not heard of any problems with the street parking, which amounts to only a couple of hours a week. At the trustee meeting on February 4th, the Park District came forward with plans for upgrades to the grounds. This included possibly expanding the parking lot. Mr. Perkins said, "We don't want to see more green space taken up than needed for only 8 to 10 days a year." I agree, especially because it would mean that our neighborhood would probably be more prone to flooding than it has in the past with less green space. At the same meeting, Mayor Mulder said, "The Park District is noted for really sharing plans with neighbors. Since we are known as the City of Good Neighbors, shouldn't the same cooperation apply to the church as to the Park District?" Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Adam. Following Adam will be Joanne Ekstrom.
Good evening. Adam Eichhorn, 1303 North Douglas Avenue in Arlington Heights. I just want to talk a little bit about myself and about my connection to the team, Hickory Meadows Community Group. 7 years ago, my wife and I had this crazy idea to move from Chicago downtown to the suburbs, buy a house and raise kids. And we did. We found a beautiful house in Arlington Heights. We live there now, and we were very lucky. We We have 2 children. We're raising them up in the neighborhood, and along the way, we get to know our neighbors. Just a month ago, I had a new neighbor next door move in, and I've met him a couple times. And he came over one day and said, hey, I'm thinking about expanding my driveway a little bit closer to your property line. And I thought, well, gee, thank you for letting me know. That's a sign of a man with integrity, I thought. And so I just want to follow up from a couple weeks ago when I spoke as a follow-up to the Hickory Meadows community concerns about the Orchard Evangelical Free Church's plans to demolish 8 homes and build a parking lot in our neighborhood. I reached out to the church on March 24th on behalf of our team, and my letter reads as follows. Subject line, reaching out. Dear Pastor Colin Smith, my name is Adam Eichhorn and I live adjacent to the Orchard Evangelical Free Church. Since my wife and I moved to this community, we have enjoyed sharing the neighborhood with your church and your many members. We believe that a community church such as yours adds great value to our society. We understand that you have plans to raise 8 homes in and around the Haddow cul-de-sac and develop the property into a parking lot. As a neighbor and a member of the Hickory Meadows Community Group, I am reaching out to you on our behalf in hopes to better understand your plans. We would like to meet with you directly. Will you be available one evening this week? Sincerest regards, Adam Eichhorn. 2 days later, I received a response, not from Pastor Colin Smith, but from Claire Beckard, excuse me. And the response was 3 paragraphs. I won't bore you with the details, but I can sum it up with one sentence. We have no plans to meet. Quote from the letter from the response. We have no plans to meet. I just think that we extended our hand out to understand their plan, and they basically declined. Last week, the church brought crews in to mark utilities and survey trees for removal. The church is obviously forging forward, but refusing to speak with concerned neighbors. I'm here to reiterate that we in the surrounding community have no issues with the current state of Sunday parking in our neighborhood. Yesterday on Easter, the most holy day of all, parking was free, available, there was no congestion and no nuisance to our neighborhood. I just want to conclude by saying we are not against the church, we are not for these plans. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Joanne?
Good evening. Joanne Engstrom, 1306 North Belmont Avenue. While I understand that applications for permits for the Orchard parking lot have not been submitted as a resident in the community, I am hugely disappointed that houses might get torn down for a parking lot that's not needed. Thank you.
Do they need a permit to tear a house down, Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Okay. So they wouldn't be able to do it without the permit?
The idea of that.
Okay. Next is Katie Van Egeren, downtown business person.
Katie Van Egeren, 304 South Belmont.
Can I
Hang on just a second, Katie. Trustee Rosenberg wanted to make a comment about...
Charles, I know we sent a letter to the church. Have we had any response at all?
Trustee Rosenberg, after last board meeting, I did send a letter to Nicholas Peppers, the attorney who was representing the church in November 2011, which was the last plan and communication we had from the church, advising him of the concerns that were raised by the residents in the neighborhood, and also advising him of some of the code sections that they would need to comply with to get approvals prior to them doing anything. Mr. Peppers contacted me, said he is no longer representing the church, and so I then sent another letter, attaching that letter to the business manager at the Orchard Church. Last week when I was out of the office, I did receive a response from the church, and they indicated that they were in the process of putting some materials together to submit to the village. We have not received that at this point, so we don't know what that would entail. Also last week, some residents, through resident contact with my department, we found out that trees were getting tagged and that Julie locates had been made in the area. So staff went out and observed that and sent another letter to them reminding the church of the tree preservation requirements that we have. So that letter was a subsequent one to the ones that I just referenced.
Thank you.
Any other questions of staff or updates? Okay, seeing none. Katie, thank you.
Katie Van Agren, 304 South Belmont. Good evening. I have been an Arlington Heights resident since 1966. I attended Windsor, Minor, and Prospect High Schools. I left Arlington Heights for Arizona to earn a degree from Arizona State University. I have lived in Tempe and Mesa, Arizona. I certainly hope that this board and the rest of my community doesn't view me as an outsider. I opened Vignettes of Arlington in 1999 with high hopes of our downtown area becoming, if you build it, they will come. Over the past 13 years, I've watched many businesses come and go. Dazzles, Paw Prints, Wine Styles, Cold Stone Creamery, Tribal Expressions, The Riviera, Campbell Street Bikes, Dinner by Designs, Lynn's Hallmark, Harris Pharmacy, The Music Shop, Earth and Vessels, Urban Harvest, The Frame Shop, Eminent Domain, Holiday Gifts and Essentials, Earth Friendly Choices, The Magazine Stand, 3 art galleries, The Pineapple Shop, Tickle Pink, Chabella Shoes, The Gap, Country Curtains, Sid Simon's, The Dollar Store, Yaya's, Wild Rose, Victoria Books, Weinrich Shoe Repair, Works of Heart, Arlington Heights Theater, Amblings, Flora Galleria, Island Girl Salvage, Vale Street Cafe, Creative Ceramics, The Tea Shop, Heights Cleaners, Creative Monogramming, and numerous restaurants. Arlington Heights needs a strong working relationship and open communication between the village government and local businesses. The downtown area in particular needs help. The Planning and Community Department, and especially Mr. John Melanthe, needs the support from this board to establish and maintain the tools to regenerate our downtown economy with special events, visual enhancements, and especially advertising. In the past, I have voiced my opinion that the Arlington Heights Chamber of Commerce should be a beacon for business in the heart of our downtown, rather than in a basement of a building several blocks away. How can visitors find their office in a location that is obscured to the Arlington Heights residents themselves? Many hardworking people have built it. We need Arlington Heights government and the citizens to support it, now more than ever. I would like to invite everyone to come out to our downtown this Saturday, April 6th at 8 a.m. for the Metropolis 5K, 10K Family Walk Run that benefits our beautiful downtown theater. Our downtown offers places for breakfast and shopping, so let's show neighboring communities just how strong we are. Thank you.
Katie, I'd like to thank you for all that you have done. You've represented not only your own business and yourself, but many of the other neighboring businesses. And you need to know that the members on this board keep working with staff at meetings when we were working on different plans of the marketing issue and what we can do. The last particular year and a half has been an economic challenge for everyone, particularly the customers that we wish we saw coming in your door and everyone's door. Rest assured, that's one of the top priorities of the planning department and this board, is to continue to bring in and attract businesses. I know that John, you mentioned John Malanofi, has worked very, very tirelessly and has brought in a number of businesses throughout the community to fill those empty storefronts. And it seems as though every time we get one filled, we lose another one. And there's a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's not just the economy, but it's certainly something, it's a high priority, it has been for a number of years, and continues to be. And I just want to personally give you my thanks, because I don't know if I'll see you in the next 30 days or so, for how well you've represented your business and the rest of downtown. It's important that you show up and give us those comments. Thank you. Tim O'Neill.
Hi, I haven't been in front of the board in a while. I've been a resident of Arlington Heights since 1999, and I enjoy the village. I enjoy the government that's here and my services. Moved to business here in 2005 that employs about 70 people in the peak, pays plenty of taxes. I was taken aback when I got my 2012 tax bill, in which there was some disclosures on it, which I think is a good idea. According to that, for the 2012 tax year, the Village of Arlington Heights had $104,641,551 in debts and liability. That number put me aback. I had no idea it was that high, and it might have gone higher by now. I see that at that time there was a gross operating budget of $138,423,574. That gives an income to debt ratio of 75.3%. A lot of nationalities around the world start failing in that area, the 75 to 100% debt to gross domestic product ratio. The total pension liability was a real eye-opener. $310 million, $310,093,234. The unfunded pension liability, according to that, is $118,316,345. That's 61.84% funded. These are all going to have to get filled in somewhere along the line, and the taxes are already pretty deafening high for businesses in Arlington Heights. And the village really needs to conserve some of the money where they can. The Metropolis, I'm the one who helped rally against it when this was all being taken by the village board, and the village board went and bought it anyway. And quite a bit of money has been spent on that, whereas the money being spent on that would have better been given by tax relief to the businesses that have moved out. So, in closing, what's the village board going to do about these numbers that came with my tax bill? The chickens are going to come home to roost, and the day of reckoning does appear. How's it going to be made up for? The village can't print money like the United States government. The Metropolis. It's really time to cut the losses on that. It's been an experiment. I think it's a failed experiment of quite a few millions of dollars. It should probably be given away to somebody who would take it as a non-for-profit. Give it to a not-for-profit. Maybe Mr. Beck could set up a not-for-profit. Give it to him free and clear, and let him operate as a non-profit, but stop giving the subsidies to it. I don't believe it has that much benefit to the downtown businesses as much as tax relief to the businesses in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Tim, you asked a few questions. Mr. Dixon or staff, do you have any response? Number one, I'm going to indicate that this board did not want any subsidy coming from taxpayers' contributions for Metropolis, and it created a 1/4% sales tax on served food. The beneficiaries of people visiting Metropolis are benefiting mostly our restaurants. So from the restaurant sales, it generates more than enough to cover not only the subsidy that is given to Metropolis, it's not coming from property tax, it's not coming from any other tax, it's coming only from that 1/4%. So a $100 bill at any restaurant, you're paying an extra 25 cents. It's 1/4%. That accumulated throughout the village has generated the money not only to cover that subsidy to Metropolis, but also to make certain that we have our Promenade of Art, we have main event, we have concerts in the park on Thursday and Friday through the summer, and a lot of the other special events that we've been doing. It's called the Arts and Entertainment Fund. It's completely subsidized by that small 1/4%, 25 cents on $100. That is generated village-wide to cover all those extras. It's not relying on property tax. I hope I made that really clear, because this board would not want to do it. Mr. Dixon, on the pension issue?
Well, the portion of the gentleman's comments that I would respond to and ask Mr. Keeney to supplement would be the initiative this year for the first time of the, I believe it's the county treasurer, who with the tax bills provided some summary information on various municipalities and other taxing bodies. Before I give it the time, I would just also like to point out that each year we have an actuary review our pensions, and the board has consistently contributed the amounts of money that the actuarial study calls for. Certainly when you have pensions funded at 61%, one would hope for better. Some communities are higher than us, some are lower. At the same time, and I don't mean to make light of it by any means, but you have to remember that that, as I understand it, is based on if everybody retired at the same time. That's what the obligation would be. With 435 employees, that's unlikely. Let Mr. Keeney comment further or correct anything I said.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. In regard to the specifics of the gentleman's questions on what was presented by the county, and it was the county's first-time effort at being transparent with operating information, pension information, and I think they'd be the first to acknowledge that some of the numbers in there do some combinations of things in terms of obligations and that don't really present a very entirely accurate picture of what's really happening. However, in regards to the pension numbers that you mentioned, those are valid. However, those do represent 2011 figures. The 2012 have improved. The market obviously has improved, which has helped our pension plans. Our measurement date for our police and fire pension plans is April 30th, so we're hoping for a good result on the stock market then, because that will determine what our actuaries use for the future, and I'm really hoping it even improves further. So we'll see how this happens over time. It's going to take some time to dig out of this economic decline that we've had. It happened quickly, and it's going to improve slowly. Hopefully it'll continue to do so.
My only additional comment is pensions is probably the most prominent issue in Springfield by the state legislators, who have continued to set the benefits to many of the pension funds. They're not controlled here locally. They're statewide, and they're done there, and without any regard to the fact that once they give benefits, it's up to the local taxpayers in each municipality to find the funds for them. So it's not something that we've been able to control, and we've been working hard. Trustee Farwell is a member of the Northwest Municipal Conference Legislative Committee. If you want to make some comment and update where we are on that.
Yeah, I just, very briefly, because it does change literally by the day. There are several different pension proposals out there advancing in either one of the two houses. Neither one of them are great plans, but at least there's more talk than there has been in the past. The problem is, you'd have to read it, I would say it would be just talk. But unless they get serious in Springfield, there is not much we can do with some of these numbers that you speak of on the pension side of it. We are kind of bound by what happens in Springfield. And we do listen to our actuaries, and being on the legislative committee and understanding some of these things, we also see some numbers. And I just wanted to tweak a little bit of what Mr. Dixon said. that some, as far as our percentage funding of some of these pensions, that some municipalities are higher, some are lower. Actually, there are some that are higher, but most are lower when you take a look at our pension figures. And the assumption is if everybody were to retire tomorrow, or if we changed the entire way we funded things, and all of a sudden we needed to start paying everybody tomorrow, then those numbers become a real situation. Not that they're not now, but the percentage of unfunded is a situation. But it's unlikely that everybody would just retire tomorrow and then be the recipients. They would be eligible to begin to pull their full pensions right then and there, and then that's where the percentage issue becomes, a situation. And then I also wanted to mention briefly, you were looking at the debt, our debt versus the amount of income we brought in. What it doesn't include in that one figure was the amount of reserves, our operating reserves that we have in our accounts, in all of our accounts. And we usually try to run, isn't it like 25% of our budget we try to
25.
aim? So if our budget this year, well, based on the hearing and what we do tomorrow, the next hour or so, it's going to be somewhere about 144 million and change. So if you figure if we're trying to shoot 25% of that, just kind of use that as an estimate of how much we have in reserve. So when you take a look at some of these numbers, I think it's great that the county's trying to be transparent, and Tom, it's their first attempt of, hopefully it's a long tradition so that people really see the numbers. So you kind of have to take a look at our own budgets, which are online, to see, like the Village of Arlington Heights' budget. You've got to look at our cash reserves and our various other funds that you can move back and forth to then, at the end of the day, determine how, what is that percentage really. So it's not a full picture, but it's a start. I did want to bring up one thing, and it's something that maybe I will try to get to the administration in the coming weeks, and maybe we can get this online. There are now ways that, down in Springfield, when they take a look at these bills, they go through a myriad of committees, depending upon who's on the committee, who's pushing it, what have you. It either gets buried in a committee or it advances into better committees and then out of committee for readings and what have you. Now you can, depending upon what committee it's in, you can sometimes, as a citizen, go online to submit your, shall we say, virtual attendances in support or against whatever the committee is raising at a given time. This is something new that we've just seen, and it would be helpful for all residents to keep their thumb on the pulse of that and actually get online and submit your various voices that those committees are looking at, because those committees are made up of other representatives and senators, state senators, that might not be our own state senators, our own representatives. There'll be people from representing all areas of Illinois. So it'd be good for them to hear while they're on the committee what we might think, because they'll either take it in consideration and advance it, or take in consideration and vote against it within that particular committee. So that will be in the coming weeks. I'll give you that. I just want to make one mention. It was this board that, along with working with the village administration, that, shall we say, tweaked and amended Mr. Milanofi's position to increase the administration's and the village's role in the business community. How many years ago was that? 8?
4 to 5.
Oh, it's all right, 4 or 5 years ago. So I just did, Mr. Milanofi's hiring was an excellent act on the administration, but before he was hired, it was, that position was reviewed and beefed up so that it would have more of a presence and more of a commitment to the business community and begin the bridge that we continue to talk about, such as Trustee Hayes' proposal that was rolled out in budget time. But that's it for now.
Thank you, Trustee Farwell. Our final citizen to be heard is Mr. Phil Walter.
Good evening, thank you. My name is Philip Walter, 218 North Casper in Arlington Heights. And what I wanted to speak today about is the police station. Now, just to be truth and honest, I'm all for a new police station. I support it 100%. Both my wife and I have done a lot of volunteer work with the Arlington Heights Police Department, and we think they really need it. It's something that's overdue. What I'm concerned about is the funding. Now, at the last League of Women Voters Forum, which 221 people attended, it was wonderful. What we heard is, we said, we'll hear from various trustees, well, look, the plan line, we'll look at the plan line by line and see what is needed and what is not. I hope this would be the case. But history tells us a different story. Just look at our village hall. There's an article from the Chicago Tribune dated September 26, 2005. It reads, quote, "To accommodate construction of a new $22.8 million village hall, Arlington Heights officials plan to move most of the village administration and staff into temporary quarters in February." $22.8 million. That was the original budget of this village hall. What the actual cost turned out to be was a little shy of $36 million. Now, what is needed? That's the key point. What is needed? Now, when you look line by line at this village hall, the pagoda, which is east of here, it's a brick structure, costs about $300,000. Was that needed? The balcony over to the east of me, I remember the budget discussions about, that was with planning, construction, cost a little bit more than $1 million. Was that needed? So it looks very nice. This whole village hall looks very nice. But the question is, was it needed? The clock tower, the open floor plan, you can go line by line and look at stuff and say, was it needed? People say, well, we needed the clock tower for the police antenna to hide it. Well, it used to be on the parking garage. It could still be at the parking garage and it would function just fine. All these changes to the original plan, line by line, an additional $13 million in a period of 22 months. Was everything needed? So as election season comes again, and we hear from elected officials and stuff, well, we will look at line by line and see what's needed. Well, I asked the residents of Arlington Heights to look at the village hall. Was everything here as needed? I brought this up years ago when it came up. I got involved. I enjoyed it, met a lot of nice people, but the question still remains, need. And there was a lot of expense that I would have loved to take from this village hall and put into our Arlington Heights Police Station. A new one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walter. Any comment on that, Trustee Glasgow?
I was not on the board at the time that this was designed and built, but in my packet this week, I get a packet each week, as the rest of the trustees do, that indicate both official village board meeting for this building and outside organizational meetings. Saturday, March 30th, we got early voting. This being used as an outside organizational meeting. Sunday, March 30th, early voting. Monday, April 1st, executive network group. We also had early voting and April, as well as the meetings here for the Village Hall. On April 2nd, there's early voting. ComEd training seminar, Fountains of Arlington. On April 3rd, early voting. Duffner Luncheon, the Arts Commission, Wing Street Condos. On Thursday, April 4th, Executive Leadership Alliance International, early voting. Northwest Council of Mayors Tech meeting, Arlington Heights Tea Party on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's all early voting, as well as the Design Commission is meeting on Thursday. This building may not have met everybody's standards, and I think the Daily Herald said, when you're mayor, half the people think you're kind of like an umpire, half the people think you got the call right, half the people think that you didn't. They may have got it right, they may have got it wrong, but this building serves a function, and it serves a very good one. I've heard criticism of this since I've been on the board. I wasn't part of the people who designed or approved this, but it has certainly served its function, and I've heard more than my fair share of good comments about this building. This board has been very frugal since I've been on it. I can't speak to previous boards, but I can tell you that when we go through the police station and we do need it, it is going to be something that's line by line, and we will make sure that it is fiscally responsible. So I believe that the point is that we've tried to design things that are fully functional, not just for now, but for 100 and 110 and 150 years from now.
Okay. That concludes the citizens to be heard. We will now move on to item 9, old business, where we have a report of the Committee of the Whole meeting of March 20th, just prior to this meeting, where we had a motion from Trustee Hayes.
Well, thank you, Madam President. Before I make the motion, I would like to just add my comments regarding the budget process. I would also like to add my thanks to all those involved in the very lengthy process of getting us to this culminating point this evening, specifically Tom Keeney and the members of the Finance Department, and all of our department heads and members of the village staff who prepared the budget so that we could easily go through it. And I'd also like to thank the mayor and my fellow trustees on the board for taking the time, as our residents expect us to do, to go through this very lengthy budget on a line-by-line basis, because we are really the stewards of the residents' tax dollars. And so I think it really is a very critical function that we perform on an annual basis, going through this budget on a line-by-line basis so that we can assure our residents that their money and our money as taxpayers as well is being wisely spent. And after a series of 4 meetings in the month of March where we did just that, I think I can assure on behalf of this board the residents that your money is being wisely spent for essential services. And so, having said that, I would like to move at this time, as I did at the Committee of the Whole meeting on March 20th, 2013, that the Village Board approve the proposed fiscal year 2014 budget as amended through the review process.
I would second, and I would echo the comments of Trustee Hayes. The budget process is not just for people at home, something that we go and sit down and crunch numbers. It is a once-a-year time when we get to actually interact with the department heads, begin to form policy for the beginning of the new year, and begin to structure how we're going to be spending the taxpayer money that's been entrusted to us. It is probably one of the most important functions of this board, and it is necessary for us to end up giving you the services that you have come to demand.
Mr. Dixon, did you want to make any comments, since you're in charge of providing this budget to the board? You sat through all 4 meetings and brought each of the department heads to us to answer our questions. Your comments.
Well, I would thank Trustee Hayes for his and for the board's involvement in this process, the board's patience and dedication to it. I think it serves the community well.
Anything from you, Mr. Keeney?
No, just thanks to all the departments and all the staff that was involved with it, as well as the board. It was a fruitful process once again.
How long does the process take?
Well, we
6
start,
months.
yeah, 6 months.
6 months. It's almost time to start the next one. We get 6 months off, right? It is, just in case anybody had any questions, I brought mine along, so we've got it here. But I know I'm going to thank the press, too. They sit through all 3 or 4 budget hearings to make certain that the residents are aware of any unusual things that might come up. It was pretty much the same budget, trying to hold the line, which we continue to hear from our taxpayers. Trustee Farwell?
Just a very brief question, Tom. We're coming up toward the end of our fiscal year right now, and not that anybody's holding you to it. It sounds like you've made in meetings, in these budget meetings before, some indication how this year might be ending up. And shy of the whole pension issue, how are the other funds doing, and how are the current budget doing?
All right, I'll speak to mainly the general fund, because that's our key operating fund.
Perfect.
We were pretty conservative with our revenue estimates this last year, especially with sales and income tax. And we did that purposely because last year at this time, we weren't sure what the state was going to do with the budget. This year, we're still not sure what the state is going to do with their budget and how it might affect us. However, the revenues during the current fiscal year have come in better than we anticipated, so we're expecting a small surplus at this time.
And then when we were preparing for this year's budget, we were not taking into account that surplus because you can't until it's already really in.
Right, and that surplus would just roll into the fund balance for future years' use.
Right, and just make future financial requirements, what have you, less burdensome because we'll actually have it in our reserves.
Right.
And that's how we build our reserves, and that's how we keep our high bond rating.
That is true, and our surplus would have been higher this year. However, we did transfer money to the EAB fund once again, to Emerald Ash Borer. That's going to be a big thing that's going to be hitting the village, rolling over the village over the next few years, and we anticipate a bond issue on that, but we've been able to transfer some general fund monies over there the last 2 years to help with that effort.
And without the prudent planning, the fiscal planning that we've had in past years, that money would not have been able to be just transferred over and create a brand new fund that affects all of Arlington Heights.
Right.
Interesting. All right, thank you.
Any other comments, Trustee Breyer?
I feel I have to talk when we have all this talk about money. Tom, we did project, as part of our planning with revenue ceilings, seems like 6 months ago already, you did projections as to what following year's revenue and expenses might be, assuming no significant programmatic changes, right?
Yes, sir.
And you've found that the space between income and expense, revenues and expenses would be narrowing, and in fact, with no programmatic change and known just general cost increases, this narrow surplus could disappear.
Actually, in the third year, that's what our projection shows.
So that this surplus isn't going to probably be sitting there, but might very well be needed to mitigate adverse excess of expenditures over revenue, as you indicated, maybe in the third year down the line.
Right.
I just think people need to realize that we're not just sitting on a pot of money, that over time these resources might be needed for a number of issues. And also, in my professional experience in another industry, they used fund accounting a lot many years ago, and it tends to obliterate, maybe that's a bad word, but mask the fact that if expenses were all accumulated together in one entity as they are in business, that there would be a higher appearance of expenses because they wouldn't be spread over a number of entities. I think that's a good characterization. The funds sort of don't make it look like a business because things are spread out in different pots as opposed to accumulated all together.
Right, we're required to do fund accounting, and there's certain funds, say the water and sewer fund, that we do run as a business type of operation.
But something like Emerald Ash Borer, that's really, I guess they call that enterprise funds in my textbook. I forgot about, right?
That one's a capital project fund.
Well, I'm talking about the water and sewer.
Water and sewer, correct.
And the Emerald Ash Borer is really, or the Emerald Ash Borer Fund is really a segregation of expenses that really isn't off to the side, but a very potentially expensive operating expenditure that, if we want to preserve the forest-like environment in some of our neighborhoods, is a necessary expenditure.
I made my comment.
Well, I would like to see if there's any other comments. I would just want our residents to realize that we're constantly watching, as Trustee Farwell is our point person on legislative action, but 1970 Constitution put in certain allocations for money to be collected by the state, but a certain percentage to be sent back to local municipalities from which it was derived. And there are pieces of legislation that are considering the fact that the state is in such grave debt that they're wanting to claim the portion which constitutionally has been designated to be given back to the local community. And those are things that staff and members of this board constantly stay in communication with numerous legislators to remind them that they can't fix their debt on the backs of local community. And we are very, very watchful of that revenue stream, which constitutionally should be coming to local government. And so with that, that's why there's so much time spent on these budgets. And we do have a motion by Trustee Hayes and a second by Trustee Glasgow. Was there anyone else who wished to make comment on the budget and the motion? Mr. Keeney.
Just one other thing, and it doesn't necessarily have to pertain to the budget that we're looking at right now, but it was a comment made earlier about the village hall costs. But it does affect, overall budgets over the long term. There was a statement made that and I believe it was by Mr. Walters, that the Tribune had quoted a $22 million estimated cost, and that was an estimated cost before the building was constructed, before all the architectural was done, and it was for the building only. The actual building only cost was about $25.9 million after all the studies and everything was complete. Other additional costs were added because we had to be in a temporary headquarters and furniture, AV. There's a long list of expenses that go into a new building. The total of everything was $30.9 million, but the building itself was just $25.9. So if you compare that to the original guesstimate that was made years earlier, it's fairly close because construction costs, especially then, were increasing every year.
Thank you for that breakdown. I know that thought occurred to me as the comments were being made under citizens to be heard, that was a totality number, and that frequently we responded, and I think Mr. Dixon set the tone with this, that we wanted to tell the public the full amount, not just the building, but the larger number included the moving expense out of the building, the moving back into the building, the rent for 2 years, and the demolition of the old building. So to say that large number was just this building, you're absolutely right. So I thank you for that breakdown. I don't know the exact numbers, but I do know that we've never, ever, this board has never, along with the staff and our manager, Mr. Dixon, we've tried to have full disclosure, and we put all those numbers in, not to say just the one number and then say, oh yes, we had to spend another 10 million here or 5 million there. We give that whole lot right away. And because we want this community to know that we are an open book operation here. So thank you for that, Mr. Keeney, and thank you, Mr. Dixon. Any other comments? We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Glasgow?
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta?
Yes.
Trustee Sidor?
Yes.
Trustee Blackwood?
Yes.
Trustee Breyer?
Yes.
Trustee Farwell?
Yes.
Trustee Rosenberg?
Yes.
President Mulder?
Yes. We move now to item B under old business. We're still on page 2. A report of the Committee of the Whole meeting held this evening, April 1st, 2013, where we had a motion coming from Trustee Hayes?
Glasgow.
No, Trustee Glasgow.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to Move to concur with the mayor's appointment of the most patient potential commissioner, Colin Gilbert, to the Special Events Commission with a term ending April 30th, 2017.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Glasgow, seconded by Trustee Scaletta. Any comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Colin, if you could please come up. I'm very pleased to administer the oath of office, which I did have here before I start moving my paper. I'm going to stand to administer this. If you please raise your right hand and say aye and clearly state your name.
I, Colin Gilbert.
And repeat the following phrases. Having been appointed to the office
Having been appointed to the office
of Special Events Commission
in
the Village of Arlington Heights
in the Village of Arlington Heights
in the County of Cook,
do
solemnly swear and affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of
this office according to the best of my ability. Colin, we have no doubt that you will do that. We accept your commitment to commit your time to be part of one of the 18 boards and commissions that represent the residents and give us valuable information. I'd like to congratulate you, welcome you, but you need to sign your oath. So if you'd please come forward. I would like for you to take this. You must sign it in the presence of our clerk, Becky Hume, and on behalf of the trustees, I'd like to present you with this logo pin. You are now an extension of the Village Board. Congratulations. Thank you. As Colin signs his oath of office, we have approximately 180 residents who volunteer for these 18 boards and commissions that include everything from Plan Commission, Zoning Board, including special events who work on the main event, but numerous other committees, the Police Fire Commission, some that are statutorily required and others that our residents have grown to appreciate. We now move to the consent agenda. I'd like to ask if there are any trustees who wish to vote no or pass. We had a motion, we did vote. Good. Did we vote?
Yep. Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Okay. I was looking and you had a strange face. I thought, I forgot something again. Anybody wish to vote no or pass on any item contained on the consent agenda? For those in the audience, those are all the items found on page 4 and 5.
Mayor Mulder? Based on the memo that we have, are we removing G from the consent agenda? If not, if it hasn't been done, I'd make a motion to do so. Or I would just remove it.
Thank you for that, Trustee Glasgow. Note that item G has been withdrawn from the agenda. Do we need to have a motion to that effect, or just? They're just withdrawing it.
Mr. Siegel, do I need to make a motion or just withdraw it?
Well, the memorandum that you got indicates we're not ready to move
Correct.
on that.
Correct.
So I think the appropriate motion would be to defer consideration of that item from the consent agenda.
Then I would make that motion to defer G from consideration until further time when it can be put back on the agenda by the village manager.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Glasgow, seconded by Trustee Scaletta. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. The remaining items are still on the consent agenda. We have a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Rosenberg, seconded by Trustee Farwell. Roll call.
Trustee Rosenberg?
Yes.
Trustee Farwell?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta?
Yes.
Trustee Sidor?
Yes.
Trustee Blackwood?
Yes.
Trustee Breyer?
Yes.
Trustee Glasgow?
Yes.
President Mulder?
Yes. We now move to something that the front row has been waiting for all night. Page 6, new business. Mr. Dixon.
This is a petition on behalf of Jimmy's Place at 640 West Northwest Highway. This evening they're seeking a special use to allow a sit-down carry-out restaurant. a variation from Chapter 28 to waive the required traffic and parking study, and a variation to allow a reduction to the minimum number of required parking stalls from 17 to 9. On March 13, the Plan Commission held a public hearing, unanimously recommending approval of this matter to the Village Board with conditions.
Petitioner, please come forward, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Kelly Bruckbauer. I'm with Tenalia Architects. We're at 814 West Northwest Highway. First of all, I'd like to introduce our owners, Johnny and Angie and Rocco Fredano. They are taking over the property that's formerly known as Jimmy's Place. And we can go through the plans real quick. This is the existing site plan. It is a sea of asphalt, no landscaping, no defined parking whatsoever. Next slide. This is the existing floor plan. It is not handicap accessible, as the two entrances you both access via the stairways on the north and the south. Also, the existing restrooms are not accessible either. There are currently 52 seats in the existing plan. Next. This is the existing elevations, vinyl siding, sort of a convoluted roof structure on the west end of the building. And again, very, very little windows, and you cannot access it if you are in a wheelchair. Next slide. This is what we're hoping to do in its place, a total facelift of the exterior, including new siding, new roofing. There will also be a deck with outdoor seating. On the inside, go to the next one. We're reworking the plan. The outdoor deck area will also include a ramp that will provide handicap accessibility towards the interior through a vestibule on the south side of the property. We're relocating the restrooms and making those handicap accessible. We're providing a code-compliant staircase to the basement. New kitchen equipment on the inside, and we're reducing the number of seats to a maximum of 48, and that's split between the inside and the outside. Next slide. And then as far as the site plan goes, we're adding defined parking with curbing and landscaping and striping. There will be 9 parking stalls specifically on our property. 5 stalls which are borrowed from the Firestone property through a verbal agreement. And then the owner has also gone into negotiations with the Arlington Heights Park District to obtain 6 additional parking spaces across the street at Olympic Pool for employee parking. And that's all we've got.
Thank you. I just remind the board and general audience that this does come to the village board with a unanimous approval of all the plan commissioners. And I think for many of our longtime residents who went to high school with Jimmy's across the street and enjoyed the familiarity with kind of something that was on the old part of our community's history and has been closed now for a couple of years or 1.5 years. I'm not quite sure how long it's been closed.
September 2011.
11. So almost a year, not quite 2 years. I was so excited to see it in our packet. Personally, I think it looks beautiful. And I know a lot of people will want to go back in time and feel like they're back in the 60s and the 70s but they'll enjoy all the modernization plans. So questions and comments, Trustee Scaletta and then Trustee Glasgow.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've reviewed the packet. I read through the Commission's minutes and all the reports provided by staff. I've gone through the plans. I think that this is the best use for this property at this time. I think that aside from the aesthetics being upgraded on the building, we're also going to have line parking spaces. We're going to have additional landscaping, and I think most importantly, it's going to be handicap accessible. And I would imagine it's going to be very, very clean, as you're going to be kind of starting from scratch. I think that We've done a good job of reaching out to the neighbors, Firestone, and then also the Park District across the street. I do have concern that you guys may become so popular that parking is an issue, but you'll have to figure out a way. And so I'm very pleased to see that this is, as part of town, is going to be rehabbed a bit, and look forward to you guys opening, and I would move approval.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Scaletta, seconded by Trustee Glasgow. Did you have additional comments?
You know, I cannot emphasize enough that I thought that Trustee Scaletta summed it up. This is the best use for the property. I did have two questions. First, the verbal agreement with Firestone, is that going to be submitted into writing? Are you going to cement that so that that's going to be there for a long term? How do you know it's not going to go away?
Because it's corporate owned, they will not do a document.
Okay.
It has to be a verbal handshake. Prior to us purchasing it, it was on a verbal handshake for as long as it was there.
And that's what I remember with the old Jimmy's place. I just wanted to, I had some of the same concerns when I was looking at this plan as Trustee Scaletta, that you're going to become so popular that parking may become an issue. What were the discussions with the Park District next door?
The Park District, I spoke to Steve Schulten, and he has agreed to lease 6 spots to us for employee parking. So therefore, our employees won't be parked on the premise. They'll be across the street.
Okay. Those were the only questions I had. I think you've done a wonderful job, and the way this is going to be laid out and designed, I think it's going to be a nice addition to the village, and thank you very much for taking the time to invest in this property.
Thank you.
Trustee Rosenberg?
There's 5 spaces that are on the right side. That's the Firestone?
That's Firestone, correct.
Okay, that would be the shared parking. Would you have any objection if we put in as one of the conditions that your employees must park in the Park District lot?
Oh, not at all.
Okay. I'm sorry, Ron?
Okay, just wrote it.
She's making a note of it.
Okay.
So if the first and seconders would agree to that,
I would absolutely agree with that.
I would agree as well. Okay, because I think that's important. It's going to be
part of the record.
Obviously very helpful for you, obviously, to compel you and your employees to park there, because it provides more spaces for potential customers. But, you know, I was trying to seek additional ways to try to find you more parking, but unfortunately, unless we start doing multi-levels, it won't work, I guess, in the space that exists. But good luck with things. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Trustee Blackwood?
And just over and above the best and highest use of that particular property, I'd like to thank you for preserving and enhancing a well-known landmark in that part of Arlington Heights that we've talked about for, well, almost not ad nauseum, but tonight there are so many people who love Jimmy's Place. And now what you've done is you've taken it up another level, and we'll be able to enjoy some of the same things that we did many, many years ago. And so I really thank you for that, and to continue the economic opportunities that are always out there for people who just have the ability to say, I see it and I want to do it, and we'll do whatever we need to get it done. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Blackwood.
Any other comments? I want to know who Jimmy is.
Pardon me?
Who's Jimmy?
No, there's no Jimmy. The name is going to be Big Ange's. Changing the name.
You are changing the name.
We're changing the name. My wife is Ange, and since we've been dating since I was 16 or 17 years old, I have always referred to her as Big Ange. So it's going to be a legacy of her name.
You're a brave man, sir.
She looks pretty tiny to me.
You're still dating, still.
So, and how would you spell that? A-N-G?
A-N-G apostrophe S.
Okay, because all of the paperwork still calls it Jimmy's Place. Of course, that way we know where it is, but I would just concur with all the positive comments. This is historic Arlington, and we do value our history. Not communities are proud to be 175 years old and haven't modernized itself. Their downtown and other parts. Arlington High School is going to always be very important to us, even though it doesn't host a public high school. and Jimmy's was such a part of that, and so many of our residents graduated from that campus, ate lunch there every day for 4 years, and utilized it for football games and things like that. So I think you'll enjoy the Park District Soccer League and swim meets and all of those other things that the parking lot will be crowded, as some of the trustees have indicated, for those athletic events. But those very people might find their way, hopefully safely, to the restaurant to acquire food. You will be doing takeout as well, is that correct?
Takeout, yes. My son Rocco, we're going to, some of the part of the menu, which we're going to try to mirror Gene and Jude's Hot Dogs in River Grove. I don't know if you are familiar with that. Rocco had worked there for 6 months. He's worked in other fast food restaurants, but it's going to be a all homemade sandwich type menu, homemade meatball sandwich, skirt steak sandwiches. It's going to be a small menu, about seven items with bakery goods. I have a background in bakery, French pastries, cream puffs, like you get at the State Fair. So we're going to have a refrigerated case with homemade pastries there. But it's going to be a small menu, about 7 sandwiches plus the pastries, and we're going to have homemade Italian ice.
Very good. Trustee Breyer.
Wonder if we can predict what I'm about to say. It is conceivable there'd be some duties in your restaurant that somebody who is eligible for a handicap placard but could work there, say they're just mobility impaired, they have a handicap placard. What will you do when they are unable to park across the street?
An employee?
Yeah.
An employee, I would, well, one of two things. I would probably just have one of either myself or one of my employees take their car and park it across the street after they gain access to the facility.
I'm going to suggest that Trustee Rosenberg's addendum be modified, that handicapped employees do not have to park across the street. I will vote against.
Well, I would say that state law covers it, Bert, or Norm.
I don't think we have to make that a condition.
So they have to provide on site for a handicapped employee.
Right. They got a spot right there.
Well, but they probably intend that for customers. I just want to be sure that it is not binding to do that and force them to wait for somebody to drive them across the street, or maybe they don't want somebody else handling their car, or there may be insurance issues that the somebody you designate cannot be handling their car. I think it's very important that they not be denigrated to being forced to be waited on.
Trustee Farwell, you wanted to make a comment?
I just wanted to make a brief comment. I think the petitioner, if they had an employee that had the needs that you're talking about, handicap accessibility, I believe they would probably seek counsel from their corporate counsel to determine what they would be able to do and what they're legally bound to do, and do it legally and according to the terms of Illinois state law, which has extensive employment law part of their state statute. So I would suspect that they would do it. That's what they would do. I don't know that I want to start governing from this particular diem additional rules and regulations that might already be in place by the state.
So maybe Robin could tell us what the law is on this.
Well, they would have to make any sort of accommodation or do what was necessary in order to ensure that an employee with those disabilities could, in fact, get to work. But that isn't anything that you would need to particularly legislate in this ordinance.
I think the state statute covering this would probably preempt our right to prevent an employee from not using it.
So they'd have to let the employee use a handicap space.
As I understand the state law on this, that would be the case.
They would have to find a way to allow the handicapped employee to get to and from work, working with the handicapped employee. But those areas are all covered in detailed both state and federal law.
I don't think, Norman, I really don't think that's a problem. I think anybody with a handicap sticker or placard or whatever it is entitled to park in a handicap designated spot. And we can't change that. That's a state law.
Trustee Scaletta, you wanted to add to this?
I don't think it's exactly the same, but, Mr. Siegel, wouldn't you agree that anywhere in the village, example in the downtown where there might be a time limit of 2 hours, or even in the town square where it's limited to 45 minutes, if someone is handicapped and they have a placard and they park in the handicapped space, that they are not restricted to the same timing as
I believe
an
that's the
able-bodied
case.
person.
That is correct.
Okay. It may not be an example, be a perfect analogy, but I think that the state law is pretty clear about handicap rights, handicap accessibility, and I take the petitioner at their word that they would make every effort to accommodate a handicapped person.
Whether it be a customer or an employee.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
And I thought the question was going to be about men's retail.
Trustee Sidor.
I bought a hat one time downtown. Is that the story?
Gentlemen, I was called on Trustee Sidor.
Thank you, Mayor. For those able-bodied, I know it doesn't appear on this plan, but I did check with Matt today. There's going to be a bicycle rack here somewhere.
Yes.
So those youthful and able-bodied people, as we move towards being a bike-friendly community, can do what I did back in the 70s, is ride my then lemon yellow Schwinn Varsity to Jimmy's Hot Dogs and partake in, either swimming at Olympic Pool and then dining on the fine food that you'll have over there. So I'm more concerned about bicycle parking than I am about car parking, because I think you're going to be loaded with kids. I don't know how many bikes are you going to have in that? How many spaces for bikes? Do you know? I know it's kind of up in the air.
Whatever a standard bike rack is, you
Or
can see it.
standard
It's
bike rack.
just north of the
Is it?
handicap accessible
Okay.
ramp.
Just
so.
a suggestion to our youth to, ride their bikes over there, and we don't have to worry about car parking to some degree. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. We just, the bike rack, you might want to keep an eye on that. If you become very popular, you don't want them laying around where they're obstructing the wheelchair from getting up. So I'll make sure we certainly don't have conflict there. Any other comments? I think you've gotten a lot of positive. The most exciting thing is that I think our residents are happy to see another empty retail space filled, and not just filled, but beautifully modernized and people-friendly for all types. And when do you expect to open?
As soon as I can. I would hope to be open mid to late summer. I hope to be.
Were you a frequent visitor to Jimmy's?
I have lived out in this area for 35 years, and there was just something about the place that was unappealing. And the attorney that we hired said the same thing. I didn't know if it was a tavern. I didn't know if it was fast food. I just had confused thoughts about it, and it never drew me to it.
It was both.
So, no, I haven't patronized it whatsoever, but I see everyone that we have talked to in the village has grown up. Yeah, there it is right there. It's a landmark, and we hope to bring that back. We want to bring the excitement back that was in the village for all those years.
Any student at Arlington High School, which was the only high school at one point, has very fond memories of a lot of things that occurred there, and meetings and friends and reunions. Many of the class reunions, somehow have a little sidebar with their little groupies and went over there for a hot dog, just for old time's sakes. You might be aware of it and find some, there's plenty around in our village who fall into that category. If from a marketing standpoint, might give you some ideas.
Thank you, Madam
You can try your boss to start. Any other comment? We have a motion and a second. Anybody in the audience had any comments about this? Roll call.
Trustee Scaletta?
Yes.
Trustee Glasgow?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Rosenberg?
Yes.
Trustee Sidor?
Yes.
Trustee Blackwood?
Yes.
Trustee Breyer?
Yes.
Trustee Farwell?
Yes.
President Mulder?
Absolutely, yes.
Kelly, do you want these?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you.